everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Literally My Life. Long time no see. I haven't seen you guys in a very long time, and that's all my fault. I will take full responsibility. If you're new here, my name is Alexandra Lamine, but I'm better known as Chicago Barbie, and I'm here to guide you through girlhood. Okay, the ages of like 13 to 21, I feel like are a nightmare. I'm almost 19, so I'm like halfway done with it. I'm pretty much done with that now, but those ages are like really hard to deal with. But I'm here to guide you. I tell you about all of my experiences of like driving for the first time and dating and making friends and moving to college and going through high school and acne and your first love and all those things. I'm here to guide you through it. So welcome to Literally My Life. So today's episode is something that I feel like is really resonating with me because all of my friends right now are going through breakups. I think this is the first time all my friends are going through breakups and I'm not going through something. Kind of makes me want to celebrate, like twerk a little bit, but it's not really the time for that. I have been seeing all of my friends go through these breakups and deal with them in different ways, and because of that I've written this episode today titled How to Raise Your Standards and How to Never Lower Them, because I've realized in my experiences with dating, if you keep a certain standard and you never lower your standard, you will avoid a lot of trouble. Those are wise words from my mother, Mama Barbie. So let's get into today's episode. But before we get into today's episode, make sure to follow Literally My Life's Instagram and TikTok. Both links are linked in the episode description below. Read our article about this because I wrote an amazing article about this. It's coming out the same day that this comes out, so it's probably already out now that this is aired. So make sure to subscribe to Literally My Life, the blog. We're bringing blogging back in 2026. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think I just dropped a vlog. The Darty vlog should be up now too. So there's a lot of you guys to catch up. There's a lot for you guys to catch up. The Chicago Barbie's always doing something. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So, I think at some point, every woman has to decide, am I going to accept what's given to me, or am I going to choose what I deserve? Which one are we going to choose, okay? Today we're going to be talking about my dating experiences and just dating experiences in general. I'm going to be picking and pulling from different places. We're going to be talking about the lessons that I have learned, from dating, and how I've learned to choose myself over any other person in any situation or relationship. This is going to be a great episode. I can feel it in my bones, so let's get into it. So our first segment is titled The Illusion of Potential. Now, we're all guilty of it. We meet a guy, we think he's great, and we totally fall in love with their potential. We think that he can be this great guy, this superhero, somebody who can come in and save us and make us feel good about ourselves and make us forget every flaw that we may or may not have. And we totally fall in love with this version of a guy that we have created in our head. And then when they start to act like nothing that we have created in our head, there becomes this issue because we're battling the person that we want them to be and the person that they are. Well, this is where you're going to stop getting your feelings hurt because we're going to stop falling in love with potential. Once I stopped doing that, dating got so much easier for me because like you stop creating these romanticized versions of men in your head and you actually like don't have any expectations. That's my best piece of advice. Go into something, when you meet a man, go into it with no expectations. And when you have no expectations, your feelings can't be hurt because you don't know if this is going to be a great guy or if this is going to be a bum. Because you have no expectations for the situation. Now, I used to date for potential. I used to date for not reality. It was horrible. I used to do it though. And I would go into these situations with very high expectations because I would meet someone, I would think they were so great, I would come up with all this potential in my head and make them a person that they just were not. They were not this person, but I made it up in my head, and my feelings would always get hurt when they would do something that I felt did not coincide with the person that I had made up in my head. And talking about this now is like, wow, I never realized how delusional I was until I'm speaking about it on a podcast that everybody in the world could listen to. But hey, I think we already know I'm a little delusional. But I'm going to talk about some dating experiences that I've had where I have romanticized potential to make you feel a little bit better about yourself. So let's start with, I've only in my life like really, really liked 3 guys, I feel. That's up for debate. We can ask my best friend, but I feel like I've only really liked 3 guys. And so let's just talk through them. There was one who talked a big game, but never showed up. There was one who wanted access without commitment. And there was one who was inconsistent but charming. And I allowed them all to have access in my life. And when I finally learned to walk away from them, when I finally learned to not fall for their potential or how good or bad that they could be, my life got so much easier. Because I realized, hey, you know what? This person may have the potential to be an amazing person, an amazing boyfriend, an amazing partner. But if they're actively making, because every day you wake up and you don't talk to that person or you don't behave the way that you should behave to please the person that you're with, you're making that choice. So if they're waking up every day making that choice to not be with me or to not do the things that they would need to do for us to be together, then why am I holding on to you? Because I think, in my head that something could work out. Because I think in my head that we could be together, that maybe one day things might be perfect. That's ridiculous. I just realized how ridiculous I sounded. I now realize, and this does not only go for dating, I also take this much into my friendships. I've learned to take people at face value. My grandmother, shout out to my Gigi, I love her, she listens every week. My grandmother used to always tell us to, when people show you who they are, believe them. And that is so true. I never realized how true that was, but it's so true. When people have showed me who they were, I've never believed them because I had this potential and I've romanticized them and I'm like, oh, they must be this great person or whatever, and I don't believe them. And so when they show me and show me and show me time again, I would continue to give chance after chance after chance after chance, like just looking like an idiot, because I believed that they could be this person that they're not. Well, I think you get the point. I don't want to beat a dead horse. We're going to learn to stop falling in love with potential and fall in love with who people are. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. I've started doing that in my life. I talked about a situation on the I Love Me More episode. If you haven't watched that episode, go watch that episode. It was a really good one. Where I met a guy here in college and I thought he was really cute and we were starting to enjoy each other and I had a lot of fun with him. And there was nothing explicitly wrong with this guy. He wasn't like a horrible guy. He wasn't a liar, a manipulator, none of those things, right? But he was doing things that were causing me to not behave like myself. And I felt like he wasn't aligning with the person that I see myself with in the future. So I just let him go. Did I want to let him go? No. Did I want things to pan out the way that they did? No. Was I sad about things? Yes, I'm human all the way, and those feelings are so normal. But I just realized, I was like, there's nothing that I can really do logically to change how he feels. There's nothing I can do to change this situation, even though it's sad. The only thing that I can do is choose myself. And even though there probably was potential for us to maybe try and talk things out or be together or whatever could have happened, I just let go of that potential and I chose myself. And can I tell you guys, I've been very happy since I made that choice. Okay, let's transition into our next segment. And I'm using you guys know I always use my phone for this. I am so bad at memorizing outlines. Listen, I am no Mel Robbins. And this is really sad, little brief break. I have been doing the podcast since 2024. I've been doing the podcast for so long, and the fact that I am not good with outlines and scheduling is crazy. I feel like I was so much better at getting a podcast to you guys every single week back in high school for some reason, when I was doing everything on my own, filming, editing, producing, marketing, literally doing it all on my own. Now I have help with all of those things and I'm still really bad at it. I'm actually really bad at it. But that was my New Year's resolution. I want to give more into literally my life. I want to do better with that. So don't worry. New episodes coming. A consistent filming schedule is coming. We're going to tease you more. I'm going to post on our Instagram more. I promise. That's something I'm working on this week. It's almost Holy Week. That's a vow I've made to myself. Okay, let's transition into our second segment. Confusion is your first red flag. I heard one time, I don't know if this was from divorce court or the internet or a person around me, but I heard one time somebody say, if a man likes you, you know, If he doesn't like you, then you're going to be confused. And I always was like, okay, well, I would make like excuses or whatever. And then when you like finally experience a guy who actually likes you, you're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be like. There was a guy who liked me back home. I didn't really like him back, but it's okay. He doesn't watch these. But he would call me every single day, guys. I'm not even kidding. Every single day without fail. I would be like, well, why are you calling me? And he would call me every single day. And the reason I bring this up, like, not that that's the biggest deal, but we weren't together or even in a talking stage. And he would call me every day to see if I needed anything, checked on me. And he actually threw me a little bit of a going away party before I went to college. I've never talked about that on here. But I realized I was like, oh my God, that's what a guy acts like when he actually likes you. They won't leave you alone. So if a guy is acting distant or weird and you can't read him, then he doesn't like you. He just doesn't like you. And it's nothing against you. That doesn't mean that you're not a wonderful or beautiful person. It just means that he's not that into you. Back in 2024, when I first started the podcast, I did an episode titled, He's Just Not That Into You, because that's a canon event. As a woman, every single woman has experienced a guy who's just not that into them. It happens to everyone. And I think the issue is when you experience that, because I know I'm guilty of this, I used to think oh my God, there must be something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not funny enough or attractive enough or smart enough or whatever for him to not be that into me. But usually it has nothing to do with you. Usually it's more something weird about them. Guys are weirder than you think. Guys have weird specific types, or you might remind them of somebody, or you might look like their mother, or it could be anything, I swear. And then they're just not that into you for that weird reason. And it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a person because a guy likes you. I mean, I was living like that, and I was thinking like that about myself when I was living for male validation. But once I started to live for my own validation, now if a guy's not that into me now, the situation I just talked about, it didn't hurt my ego, it didn't hurt me at all. It didn't make me feel like any less of a person or any less of a woman because he wasn't that into me. He just wasn't that into me, and that's his problem, and it really has nothing to do with me. Every time I felt confused in past relationships, situationships, talking stages, kisses, everything that I've dealt with, I should have left. I definitely should have left. If I had left when I had a gut feeling to leave, I could have avoided myself a lot of pain, a lot of stress, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of tears, a lot of crying, a lot of calling my friends all the time to annoy them about little details about guys that they absolutely hated for me. I could have avoided all of it if I had just left them alone when I felt confused, when I felt weird. Because what kind of guy who genuinely likes and cares for you is not going to be texting you back, is going to stand you up, is going to, just leave you confused, oh, what are we? If you have to ask that question, then you're nothing. And I'm not trying to be, hurtful or brutally honest or hurt anybody's feelings. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. So here are some patterns to look out for. Mixed signals, hot and cold behavior, and intense moments with no follow through. That was a dig. You see any of those? Run. Choose yourself immediately. And you might think, oh my God, but we have this great potential and we have this great chemistry when we're together. It's when we're not together that's the problem. Why? We're adults. Why does a guy have to be with you 24/7 to show that he likes you? He can't call you and tell you that? That's weird. And you want to commit to somebody like that? You deserve better. I deserve better. You deserve better. We both know we deserve better. So don't settle for that, please. Clarity is kindness. Confusion is a warning. Now I'm going to move into our third segment, access versus effort. Now this is something that I have really been learning recently. I run a strict program. Let me just make that clear. I probably should talk about this at first. I run a very strict program. I, in my years, have seen that my grandmother's words are very true. When people show you who they are, you believe them. And my grandmother used to also say, people treat you how you let them. A guy, I feel, and I've seen this in my life, and I'm sure you guys can relate too, will run all over you if you let him. You let a man think something is sweet, and that man will open up a bakery. I'm telling you, men will run all over you, and women will too. But I'm just saying, if you give a man a chance to walk all over you, they're gonna take that chance. And this is coming from me. I've noticed that I have a sweeter heart and a sweeter disposition, and that's why I think I guard myself so much these days. Little story time for our new listeners. Last summer, I completely, and I'm just saying this unashamed, I completely fell for someone I had no business falling for. I met this guy, and very, very quickly, I decided that he was a good person. I fell for his potential. I fell for the things that he told me. I listened to what he said, and I believed what he said. And he gained my trust very, very quickly. And I held on to his every word, and then one day he decided he didn't want us to, continue whatever we were. And that hurt, that sucked. Like, who likes to be dumped? But then everything started to crumble after that. Everything fell apart, and I realized that everything about him was an act. He was a complete illusion. And not that I romanticized him so much where I just hung on to him, but I took him at face value. And I believed everything that he said. And he absolutely broke my heart when I realized that he was not at all the person that he presented to be. And you can ask, well, you can't, but I wish I had my close friends here to tell you how distraught and how hurt I was after that, and how it literally almost broke me into two. And I was just so hurt after that. I had to completely rebuild myself after that. But I'm glad that it happened because it taught me a lot of lessons. And the biggest being this access versus effort thing. Because I look back at this situation and I hung on to his words and I didn't hang on to his actions. I mean, looking back on it, he never, I live on the north side of Chicago. He lives on the south side. That's really specific. I really hope he doesn't see this. And where he lived was probably about a 30 to 40 minute drive without traffic. I'll give traffic 45. And he never, ever made efforts to come see me. Whenever I saw him, it had to be in a social setting, a group setting. We never went on dates. Oh, that's so embarrassing. We never did. I felt for someone who didn't even take me on dates. But I gave him complete access to me and my heart. And I'm not talking about sexually. If that happened, I'd tell you guys. Trust me, but no. But I gave him complete access to my heart without him giving any effort to get there. So I hate that I did that. But I've learned so much about letting men have access to you and your feelings. That's a whole thing. Another thing is letting men have access to your body. I'm in college. I'm almost 19, and I see people sleep around all day, every day. At every party you go to, you're going to see two people leave with each other. And what about it? I'm a true Christian, so I don't judge. If you want to go and have premarital sex or fornicate, that sounded judgmental. But I swear to God, I don't judge. I've kissed people. I've done stupid stuff before sexually, so I get it. I'm not here to judge anyone. But when you let a man have your body too early, he's going to think, his mindset just changes, right? And it's going to be if he can have you easily, he's not going to value you deeply. So when you hook up with a guy because you're thinking, oh, this is going to bring us together, it's such an intimate experience, we're going to bond with each other because sex is the most intimate that you can be. That's not true. And I hate that so many women give up their bodies in order to be liked. Sex is truly an intimate thing. I'm not downplaying that, but I think that, and this is my personal opinion, I think a lot of people confuse sex with intimacy. I think laying down and cuddling with someone and talking to someone is so much more intimate than sex. There are so many more intimate things than laying down with someone. You can lay down with anyone, but it's really a lot to get to know someone and get to know someone's heart and their character. I'm a big fan of Sex and the City. I love the girls on there, but they're sluts. I love them though, but they're slutty. And usually they find out these weird things about these guys that they date. I'm on this episode where Carrie's dating this guy and then she finds out he's an alcoholic. Or Charlotte, slept with this guy at a wedding. and then found out that he was a complete mama's boy. There's something weird about every guy you go out with, and usually most men won't make it past 2 or 3 dates, and then once they do, they usually become your boyfriend. There's a science behind that, I promise. And what I realized is if they just held out sometimes and didn't sleep with every guy that they meet, they could realize the weird stuff a lot sooner and save themselves a body. But it's called Sex in the City, so I get it. But you get what I mean? If you just hold your body and treat it like the temple that it is, you can probably get to know a guy a lot better once you hold off. If you I'm gonna give you a challenge. Go out with a guy 5 times before sleeping with him. My grandmother's gonna watch this and freak out because she's gonna be like, in my day, you had to wait till you got married, which is what you should do. But I'm trying to appeal to the younger generation, Gigi. Go out with a guy 5 times. Do not sleep with him. Do not talk about sex. Do not be intimate. I would try to say hold off on kissing. I know that's hard. I get it. But try to hold off on that. And if you do kiss, don't kiss, make out. Just peck. And see if you can get to know this guy's family history, his childhood, how he feels about his mother, all kinds of things. And by the 5th date, if you still want to sleep with him, go ahead, because now you know it all. But you probably won't, because you will stop liking a man once you get to know him. Ask me how I know that one. I've kind of gotten off topic here, but stop giving men access to your body and to your feelings without them giving the effort for that. Why do we let men just have us so easily? Why do we fall for people because they're attractive? That's all it takes is he's attractive and he comes from a good family, and so now I'm just going to fall head over heels for him, or, oh, he makes me feel pretty, he makes me feel wanted, let me sleep with him. That's all it takes? Don't you think you deserve a little bit more? Because at the end of the day, when he hurts your feelings, who's going to be there to pick you up? You. So value yourself better. Okay, let's move into our 4th segment, the power of walking away. This is probably my favorite segment because, let me tell you, I have turned into Samantha Jones when it comes to walking away. You guys ever seen that episode of Sex in the City where Carrie's dating that guy who still lives with his parents? And she tells Samantha, and Samantha's like, oh my god, dump him. Here, use my cell phone. Yeah, that's what I've turned into. My life completely changed when I stopped asking, why him? And started asking, why not me? Why can't I choose myself over this horrible, horrid situation? Now, I'm no stranger to situationships and romantic situations that make you feel like the butterflies. I mean, it gives you such a high, I don't know why anyone does drugs. I get it. I mean, if anyone gets the rush and the intoxicating feelings that you can get when you like a man, oh honey, you are talking to the right person. But I've also learned to choose myself over that rush, because it's like getting on a roller coaster with that feeling. Because you will go all the way up and you'll feel it at the top, and then you will it'll just crash. Because when he leaves, that's where it crashes. And then you're just on the ground and you're like, oh crap. And that's when you have to pick yourself up. And every situation where I've been left sad or even heartbroken or distraught, like in my saddest about a guy, I've looked around and I realized who's there to pick me up. And it's usually God, always God. And my friends and my family and myself. I look in the mirror and I see myself crying. I see myself have to pick myself up and resume normal life even though I have a broken heart. So I realize I have to prioritize myself and my happiness, because at the end of the day, this is who I come home to. This is the person that I cannot escape. This is who I live with all the time. You guys know that I live alone now, right? So I spend a lot of time with myself. And that's why I have to put her first, because I can't escape her. I've tried, trust. I can't escape her. So how can you put yourself first? Well, there are many, many ways. And I'm not saying become a selfish, self-absorbed. Don't do that. But I'm saying that you have to learn to stop giving yourself out so easily, like we talked about in the access segment. And you have to learn to walk away when things aren't serving you anymore. And this doesn't just apply to men. This can apply to literally anyone in your life. You have to learn to walk away when things don't serve you anymore. And the biggest reason, and I talked about this a lot last week, this really coincides with our Love Me More podcast episode, so please make sure to go check that out. The biggest reason being, you may love a person, you may love your friendship with a person, you may have been friends for 10 years, you may have been dating a guy for 7 years and you want to get married so easily or whatever, but you have to love yourself more. You have to love yourself more than any person, than any memories, than any feeling, than any relationship. You have to love yourself more and prioritize yourself. I've been learning to choose myself over chasing, over explaining, over accepting less, over settling, over all of those things, because even though those things can give you a rush and give you a high and give you a guy that makes you feel good for a while, I'm still, at the end of the day, I'm still stuck with myself. And, I'm a more sensitive person than I let on. Things will definitely weigh on me and I won't show it. I'll definitely still continue to go on with my life and, things will weigh on me and tug at my heartstrings, and that hurts. And I have to protect myself and protect my heart. So when you start to do things that I find does not align with the person that I want to be with, I walk away. You just have to walk away. And I'm not saying that you cannot communicate with your partners. It's a case-by-case bias. But I'm saying in general, for example, the guy that we're talking about, I met here in college. I liked him and I thought that he was really bad at communicating. I thought he was really bad at communicating. And we had a conversation about that, and he promised me that he would communicate better. And I was very happy that we were able to have such a great adult conversation about it, and I thought things were going to go well, and I took him at his word. And I gave him another chance to communicate things better, and I saw he didn't. And then I saw that he continued not to. And I said, okay, well, I've already addressed that this kind of behavior makes me uncomfortable. I've already addressed that I don't like when you don't communicate with me. And now I find myself reading into you. Now I find myself, instead of writing podcast episode outlines and working on my sports stuff and working on the websites and all kinds of stuff that I'm supposed to be doing, now I find myself calling my friends and being like, well, what does this mean? And reading into your texts and waiting on your responses because you cannot communicate. So guess what I did? I blocked him. And I wasn't happy to block him. Did I want to block him? No. Oh my God, I really hope he doesn't see this. But I was like, that's not what I wanted at all. I wanted things to work out. I wanted things to be okay. But they weren't. And I walked away. I wasn't going to sit there and beat a dead horse. We've already talked about it. We already sat there and talked about our communication. We already talked about us communicating with each other better. I held up to my end of the deal. You didn't. You're cut. You're not going to sit up here and turn me into somebody that I am not just because I have a little bit of feelings for you. Not going to happen, because I love myself a whole lot more. And I'm going to choose myself every single time. So I walked away from the situation, and I cannot tell you the peace and the clarity that I have had since he's been gone. And I think a lot of people stay in situations like that because it gives you such a rush and such a high, and I get it. One time, I'll share this with you guys. One time I went to a party with him, and, well, not with him, but I saw him at a party. And this was around the time I was trying to trying to feel him out and see if he was going to start communicating better. And he was holding on to me, and he was saying all the right things, and I got such a rush from that. Like I said, it was such a high. I don't know how anyone does drugs. It was crazy. So I get it. But then afterwards, when he started to act stupid, I felt myself go in this downward spiral. I saw myself turn into somebody that I did not recognize, and that's when he had to go. That's literally when he had to go. And I walked away. I chose myself over the high. I chose myself over the rush. I chose myself over the over-explaining. And I promise I'll do better. And giving all these chances, I chose myself. And a lot of people really think oh, you're going to be alone and you're going to be so lonely and whatever. Being alone doesn't always constitute being lonely. I've been alone since my sophomore year of high school. And I am not lonely in the slightest. I have so much love in my life. Maybe romantic love isn't in the forefront, but I have a lot of love in my life. I have amazing friends. I serve an amazing God. I have an amazing Gigi. I have an amazing family. I have an amazing life. So even if romantic love isn't in the forefront of your life, maybe it's not supposed to be in the forefront of your life right now. Maybe romantic love is something that'll come on later in life. Who knows? But what I do know is that you have to learn to enjoy your own company, that you have to learn to prioritize yourself and your standards and your boundaries so that you're not ending up falling in love with every man that you meet. Because I used to do it and it sucked. Let's move into our 5th segment, raising your standards. This is the shift. This is where things are really going to change for you. Okay, listen very carefully. Here's what happened when these are all the standards I've changed. I wrote them down, okay? I stopped romanticizing the bare minimum, and I also changed my definition of the bare minimum. I started expecting consistency. That is something that I will not negotiate. And I valued my time and my energy so much more than I used to. And that has changed my love life and my life trajectory so much. So the first thing that you need to do is define your standards. What do you want in any kind of relationship, romantically and platonically? And familial. What do you want out of a relationship? Now, here are just some things I wrote down. Communication is a huge one for me. I don't think that you can really have a relationship without that. Trust, effort, respect, and intentionality. Now, those are just a few things that I wrote down, but you should just take your journal. Do you have a journal? You should have a journal. If you listen to this podcast, you should definitely have a journal. I love journaling. Get your journal out and just write down some standards that you want to have and that you would want in a guy or in a friend or in your family or whatever, and just write these things down. And remember these things. This is what this is what the kind of people I want to spend time with. This is how they act, and these are the things that they value. These things have to be mutually important to the both of you. Those are that's the way things will most likely work out between you guys. That's how you'll find out if you're compatible, but we'll get into compatibility next week because that's something that's been weighing on my mind, compatibility and the concept of soulmates and all that stuff. I really actually do want to talk about that, but we'll talk about that later. So these standards are things that you should never, ever, ever lower. Ever. So once you've defined them, you have to make a promise to yourself that you will not lower these standards. Because once you lower them, oh honey, there's no turning back. It's like, I'm in college, right? It's like when you start skipping classes, oh honey, there's no going back. There's no going back. That's why people recommend that you don't start skipping. Because if you I don't skip class for my family that watches this. I really don't. But once you start skipping classes, oh, no going back at all. Because you're going to continue to skip because you know what it feels like. You feel comfortable with it. You feel like you can get away with it. So you're just going to continue to skip your classes. That's the same thing with lowering your standards. You're going to be like, oh, well, I lowered my standards the last time and it wasn't that bad or whatever. You're just going to trick yourself, you know? It's horrible. So don't do that to yourself. Okay. Let's transition into our 6th and final segment, never lowering them again. This is super important. I hope you should have a notebook. You should be writing this down because we've been through enough, okay? Once you see the difference, you will not unsee it, okay? Please write this down. Discipline over emotions every single time. You need to practice discipline in your life, in every area of your life. But your standards has to be the biggest one. The biggest one. Because if you have no discipline for your standards, then you are going to continue to get ran over, and nothing changes unless you change. Nothing changes unless you change. If you are not going to sit up there and hold yourself to a higher standard, you think anyone else is going to? Do you think you're going to be treated the way that you want to be treated and you can't even hold firm boundaries? Girl, you deserve better. You know you deserve better. You have to shift into loving yourself more than anything. I know we just talked about that, but when you love yourself, you hold yourself to a higher standard. And when you hold yourself to a higher standard, discipline naturally comes into play because you're like, I can't let myself slack. I can't let myself lay off. I can't disrespect myself like that. I just can't do it because I deserve better. Also write this down. Don't fold just because you like someone. And what does it mean to really like someone? Do you have to really, truly have feelings for every guy that you meet? I mean, we talked about this a couple of podcast episodes ago. Just because you meet someone and they're attractive doesn't automatically mean that you guys are compatible and that you guys will have a long-lasting relationship. It just means that they're attractive. Stop reading into those kind of things. What does it mean to really like someone? You know, the way that I am, this is how I look at things. This is how I am with guys. And then I'll leave you guys with this. I meet a guy, and let's say we meet and we hit it off and I think he's cute. Great. We're having a great time. But I do not let myself get my feelings and my heart completely trusting and involved until I have seen from this guy, and this usually takes a while, that he deserves access to my feelings and my heart. And you can show me in multiple ways, but it's usually through consistency and discipline with your standards. And once I see, okay, this is a guy who has integrity, this is a guy who loves the Lord, this is a guy with morale, this is a guy who values me, then I'm going to open up my heart. Then I'm going to be more trusting and loving and, do things that I probably wouldn't do if I didn't care about you. But don't fold or forget your standards just because you like someone, because you like yourself more now, remember? You don't lower your standards to keep someone. I want you to remember that, okay? You raise your standards to find someone better. And sometimes that someone better is yourself. I'm just saying. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for listening. This was an amazing, amazing episode. Oh my goodness, one of my favorites ever. This might actually be my favorite. I know I say that all the time, but this might actually be my favorite episode of all time because this is something that has really been weighing on my heart. I see so many beautiful, beautiful women going through situations where they're allowing a man to tear them down or break them down. And I don't ever want to see anybody go through that. And the best way to do that is to raise your standards. The best way to do that is to love yourself more, to choose yourself. And so I'm glad that I can be a guide. I'm glad that I can be holding your hand through this because it's a tough thing. I really wish, the whole point of this podcast is to be the person that I wish I had. I really wish that when I was 14 years old, I could have listened to an episode like this because it really could have saved me a lot of heartbreak and trauma. So I really hope it saves you all of those things. Now remember, we're going to do some affirmations. I don't chase, I don't convince, I don't compete. I don't chase, I don't convince, I don't compete. I'm in competition with absolutely no one, okay? And if you want me, you'll act like it. And remember, I will choose myself every single time. Every single time. Speaking of choosing yourself, there's so much coming up with the whole Chicago Barbie thing. I want to again thank you guys as my freshman year comes to a close, which I can't really believe. I want to thank you guys so much for all of the support and the love that I've gotten since moving to the University of Colorado Boulder. The whole Chicago Barbie persona, I never expected it to get the kind of attention and traction that it's been getting, and I thank you guys so much. There's a few things I want to talk about on here before we go. I am officially doing a live podcast, which I'm so excited for. I cannot announce a date yet because we're still working on, we have 2 dates set for the 2nd or the 3rd week of April. I really would love if you guys came out for that. I can't believe I get to announce that. I'm definitely going to make some videos teasing that, but this is for our real fans here. I would love if you guys came out. Admission is totally free. You guys get to see me and 2 other Boulder influencers talk about our lives and our experiences and get to meet us after, which is really cool. I have a website coming very soon. I know I've been talking about the website forever, but I've had so much difficulty putting it up. It's really hard to do it all on your own. Being a media personality and in college and being a sports girly, get me out of here sometimes, but it's great. I love my life. I love my career. I really do. We have a website coming soon. We have a lot more YouTube vlogs coming our way. I just did a Darty vlog yesterday, so I'm putting that up. I've combined 2 Darties because I wasn't that great with filming, but it's okay. And we have a lot more vlogs, so make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I'm bringing back the art of blogging, so make sure to subscribe to that because I will have special blogs on my website when it launches. And I just want to thank everyone who is supporting me. Continue to keep up with me because there's so much more to keep up with. And I will see you guys on next week's episode of Literally My Life. Bye, guys.